Alright guys, what is going on? My name is BassWiz and today we're going to be talking about The Promised Neverland Manga Chapter 151. There will be spoilers in this video for The Promised Neverland. If you are not caught up, I suggest doing that before watching. Without further ado, let's get into it. First, I do want to apologize if in the background of this video you guys hear thunderstorms going on. Where I live, there's a heavy storm passing through and there's flooding in the area. I'm actually worried about the power going out and me not being able to record this. But yeah, if you do hear that, I apologize. So, moving on with the chapter. Was anybody else really surprised with exactly how well Zazie in particular was doing against Queen Regavalima? Yes, she was exhausted, and that was part of Norman's plan, using Jiran to put her on the ropes and exhaust her and not giving her a chance to regenerate or to eat any of the corpses on the floor, to just put her through this onslaught of battles back to back to back, so she had no time to regenerate. And that is a good plan. We see humans like Zazie keeping up with her and actually making her sweat a little bit. The opening scene in this chapter, Zazie gets so close to putting his sword right through her eye, she barely has the chance to catch it. And that was something I wasn't expecting. I was honestly expecting her to just go in and tear through these people, and usually if she were 100%, she probably would have. But because she's so tired, the humans are able to fight. Barbara and Cecil join in as well, and their whole strategy is be calm, don't get distracted, don't get put into her pace, and just slowly whittle her down. She doesn't have the stamina for it. Demons use a whole lot of energy when they regenerate, when they use their powers. They're really strong in short bursts, but they need to constantly refuel because of all the energy they use. And that strategy was working extremely well for them until a certain point where Queen Regavalima caught them off guard. Barbara and Cecil were trying to be the tanks essentially and letting Zazie do the attacking because Zazie is the physically strongest one there. They underestimated her though, and she did this thing where she increased the muscle mass in her arm and suddenly she sped up and she caught Barbara midair with a stab through the stomach. An injury I'm not sure she'll be able to recover from because, like I said, it was straight through her torso. When this happened, Zazie lost it and he charged forward. And usually I would assume that this would spell Zazie's end, but it turns out that Zazie's blades, along with the food that the demons have been eating since the Tifari started, have been poisoned, and the ability to regenerate at the moment isn't working correctly. We see her arm spazzing out in weird ways, and the other demons in the room, such as Duke Everk and the other subjects, start clutching at their throats like they're in pain, the poison now taking effect. Norman was not sure if the poison would affect the royals as good as it is, but it seems that since Regavalima is so weakened, it's having some sort of effect on her. Zazie is trying to capitalize on this opening, and the closing scene is him closing in and trying to attack her. Regavalima slicing his mask in the process, and then it cuts to black at the end. We don't know whose blood was spilled at the end of the chapter. Now, if you want my opinion, I believe that that is Zazie's blood. I don't think Queen Regavalima is going down yet. That would be far too convenient, in my opinion, for the big boss, the queen, to go down like that. For it to go so smoothly in Norman's favor. He needs to feel some sort of threat here. This plan has been going way too smoothly, way too according to plan for Norman, and I don't believe for a second that Regavalima is dead. She may be close to it. The poison definitely doesn't help, but I don't think Zazie took the W here. I think he is injured at the very least. I don't think he's going to die. And speaking of Zazie, I think next week we might actually get a glimpse of his full face without the mask, because the mask has been destroyed. We saw that at the end of the chapter right here in this small panel. And we do see a glimpse of him without the mask, but his face is covered in shadow. he seems to have a deformed face, like it's burned or some sort. So we might see Zazzy's face next chapter, and I believe since we're gonna see his face, he'll most likely meet his end next chapter, but that's just my opinion. All in all, for this chapter, I'm continuously impressed with Norman's planning ability. I am somewhat worried about Barbara. I will admit, I'd never liked Barbara too much. I've never been a fan of those really rash characters that you can't reason with, and the way that she got up in Emma's face back then kind of sealed her fate for me as a character. I just don't think I'm gonna like that much. She's unhinged. She is dependent on those drugs more so than the other people from Lambda. She should be dead with that injury, but you never know. This is manga. We don't know what kind of thing is in store, and the ramifications of that will be interesting because Norman went into this whole raid thinking that he's not going to lose a single human, and it looks like he might lose Barbara. I wonder how he's going to act about this, if he's going to freak out or if we'll see a cold, calculating thing from Norman and have him just say something along the lines of, "You should have stuck to the plan. You freaked out at the last moment. You hesitated, and that's why you died." We'll see. His reaction to Barbara's passing would be really telling and will give us a lot of insight into Norman's character, where he lies on the morality spectrum. I want him to be sympathetic for her because he did build this bond with her over all this time they've been working together. She looks up to him as her boss. She is very loyal to him. So I want to know what his reaction will be to her possibly dying in this chapter. Drop a like if you like what I have to say here. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Share the video with your friends if they also like The Promised Neverland. That will be it for me today. Peace.